Thank you for choosing wisdom of the Dharma. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you never miss a new update. Your support helps us keep sharing powerful, life-changing wisdom with the world. And don't forget to drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's grow and learn together. Part 1: The Silent Barrier: Why Life Feels Stuck. Have you ever had one of those days, maybe weeks, where you feel like you're doing everything right, but nothing seems to move? You wake up on time. You follow your to-do list. You answer emails, show up for meetings, try to keep a good attitude. And yet, something's off. Money slips through your fingers. Opportunities vanish just as they appear. And a heavy, invisible weight seems to press on your chest. Like life is trying to whisper something. But you just can't make out the words. It's not failure. You've been through worse. It's not burnout. You still have energy. It's not even fear, at least not the loud kind. It's something more subtle, like a fog that no amount of thinking, praying, or pushing can clear. And that's exactly what makes it so frustrating. You might call it bad luck. You might say, the timing's not right. But deep down, a quiet voice wonders. Is there something blocking me that I can't see? This feeling, this quiet suffocation, isn't just in your mind. In Buddhist teachings, we call this the clouded field, when the energies of your environment, your karma, and your unconscious mind combine to create a kind of energetic friction. You're walking forward, but it's like there's wind pushing against you that no one else can feel. Let's pause for a moment. What if the problem isn't what you're doing, but where you're standing in your inner world? Imagine you're standing in a river. You try to take a step forward, but you're stuck in mud. The current is fast. You think more effort will help. So you strain, push, force. But all you're doing is sinking deeper. That's what it's like when your energy field is misaligned. No matter what actions you take, if your subtle field, the combination of your thoughts, emotions, and space, is blocked, nothing flows. And here's the hard truth. Most of us live with these blocks for years. We just get used to them. We call it life. We call it adulthood. We call it the way things are. But these labels are like wallpaper over a crack in the wall. The foundation is still crumbling. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not only from attachment or desire, but also from ignorance. Not seeing clearly. Not knowing what is truly happening within. Not understanding the invisible threads that tie our fate to our attention. So how do we begin to shift? That's the question this ritual answers, not with theory, but with practice. Not by controlling the outer world, but by tending to the inner space. And strangely enough, it all begins with something so small you can hold it in your hand. A simple piece of red thread. Yes, that's all. Just thread. To the untrained eye, it's nothing. But to those who've walked the inner path, it's a symbol, a tool of redirection. See, spiritual energy doesn't need complexity. It needs clarity. It needs presence. When your field is dense with unspoken emotions, when your home is cluttered with invisible patterns, when your body holds fear it cannot name, that's when rituals become powerful. Not because they fix you, but because they reveal you. And that's why this thread is so special. Not for what it is, but for what it opens in you. You didn't find this video by accident. That's not a marketing line, it's an energetic reality. Something in you is ready to shift, to move, to breathe again. But before we get to the how, before we tie anything, before we speak any intention, we need to be honest with ourselves. What is the weight you've been carrying that no one sees? What are the dreams you've buried because the world said not yet or not for you? What is the silent ache that never makes it into your words? That's where we begin. not with solutions, but with awareness. Because awareness is the first portal to change. As we move deeper into this ritual together, I invite you to treat this not like a how-to video, not like another life hack, but like a moment of stillness, a sacred space to pause, to realign. So take a breath. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're just standing at the edge of something real. And what comes next might feel like magic, but it isn't. It's you, finally stepping into your power, quietly, fully, and without permission from the outside world. Let's continue. Part 2, Across Time and Culture, the Mysterious Red Thread. Let's rewind history, not just a few decades, but thousands of years. Before apps, before credit scores, before vision boards and manifestation journals, there were people, just like us, wondering how to protect what they loved, how to invite blessings into their homes, how to guard their children from invisible dangers, and how to finally feel safe, abundant, and aligned. But they didn't have microphones or YouTube channels. They had ritual. They had symbols. And they had the red thread. You see, this isn't just a piece of string. This is a silent witness to thousands of years of intention, protection, and prayer. Across continents and belief systems, the same object appears over and over, sometimes tied around a wrist, sometimes placed beneath a pillow, sometimes buried beneath the entrance of a home. And always with meaning. In Judaism, it's known as the Kabbalah string, a red thread worn on the left wrist, believed to protect from the evil eye. Tied with prayers, passed from elders, worn quietly under sleeves. In Hinduism, it's the kalava, wrapped around the wrist during sacred rituals, a symbol of one's commitment to the divine, to Dharma, and to the cosmic order. In Tibetan Buddhism, monks chant mantras over red thread, turning it into a blessing cord. It's then handed to practitioners as a form of spiritual protection, to remind them of their path and vows. In ancient China, the red thread of fate is a mystical belief that invisible red strings connect those who are destined to meet, regardless of time, place, or circumstances. A poetic image, yes, but also a deep insight into energy and karma. Even shamanic tribes in South America and Afro-Caribbean spiritual systems use red thread in ceremonies of grounding, ancestral protection, and dream healing. What's more fascinating is this. These cultures developed independently. They spoke different languages, worshipped different deities, lived on different land, and yet, they all chose the same color, the same form, the same usage. Now, what does that tell you? In Buddhist logic, this is what we call interdependent arising. The truth reveals itself not because someone told it to everyone, but because reality speaks through different vessels, all pointing to the same Dharma. Why red? Let's stop and ask, why red? Red has always carried spiritual weight. It's the color of blood, the river of life. It's the color of fire, the transformer, the activator. In Feng Shui, red activates yang energy, movement, action, power. It cuts through stagnant qi. It breaks through invisible heaviness. It wakes the energy of a room like sunlight piercing through storm clouds. In the psychology of color, red stimulates attention, motivation, and primal confidence. Your brain can't ignore it. It signals urgency, passion, readiness. In esoteric teachings, red represents the first chakra, the root, the base of survival, of security, of grounding. When the root is strong, your entire life force flows better. So when you wrap red around your wrist, or place it under your pillow, you're not just engaging with tradition. You're engaging with biology, psychology, symbolism, and cosmic alignment, all in one gesture. Why a thread? Why not a stone, a crystal, a statue? Because thread is soft, mobile, gentle, and yet, it binds. A thread is a line, it connects 2 points. A beginning and an end. Where you are, and where you want to go. Unlike other sacred objects, the thread is personal. It touches your skin. It's tied with your own hands. It moves with your body. It becomes part of your daily rhythm. It's like a reminder woven into your life, a whisper on your wrist, a vibration near your heart. Even when you forget, it remembers for you. Ritual isn't superstition. It's human. Modern society has taught us to be rational. To see the world as facts and numbers. To dismiss the unseen as naive, primitive, unscientific. But the truth is, humans are ritualistic by nature. We light birthday candles and make a wish. We wear special clothes to weddings and funerals. We shake hands to signal peace. We place photos on altars. We cry under the full moon without knowing why. Ritual is not religion. Ritual is how the body speaks to the invisible. It's how we anchor intention into action. It's how we send messages to our own subconscious mind. This matters. This moment is sacred. I am choosing. When you tie the red thread with presence, you are telling your body, your mind, and the universe, I am opening the gate. The red thread is an ancient technology. Technology doesn't just mean electronics. It means a tool that creates a transformation. And by that definition, the red thread is a powerful technology. It requires no electricity, no downloads, no manuals. Just one thing, your presence. That's why it has lasted for centuries. That's why it works across cultures. Because truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be practiced. Maybe you already knew this. There's something strange that happens to people when they first hear about the red thread ritual. They pause. They tilt their head slightly. They don't say, "Wow, I never imagined that." They say something closer to, "I don't know why, but that feels familiar." And it is. It's familiar because your energy body remembers. Because your subtle memory carries more than your brain. Because somewhere deep inside, you've always been searching for a practice. Not to impress anyone, not to get immediate results, but to return to yourself. And this might be it. A thread between cultures. And between you and you there's one more layer that often gets missed. The red thread doesn't just connect you to something higher. It connects you to yourself. To the part of you that remembers how to feel. To the part of you that wants to trust again. To the part of you that longs for something that works, even when the world doesn't. When you pick up this thread, you're not just following tradition. You're weaving your own line back to who you really are. So if you're still here, listening, if your hands are starting to tingle, or your chest feels slightly lighter, that's not a coincidence. That's the thread beginning to form. Not in your hands. Yet. But in your awareness. And that's where every ritual begins. Part 3, Sacred Simplicity, the Power of Small Rituals. Let's pause for a moment. We've traveled across cultures, seen how a simple red thread appears again and again, on wrists, under pillows, at sacred altars. But maybe there's still a voice inside you asking, how can something so small make any real difference? It's a valid question. We live in a world obsessed with complexity. We expect big changes to come from big actions. But in spiritual practice, it's often the opposite. The more clear and intentional something is, the more powerful it becomes. Why small rituals matter. We're taught that transformation must be dramatic, loud, intense, unmistakable. But Buddhist wisdom says otherwise. Enlightenment isn't an explosion. It's the lighting of a quiet inner flame. And rituals don't work because they're big. They work because they speak to the subconscious, the place where real change happens. Anchoring energy with symbols. In psychology, this is known as symbolic anchoring, pairing an object with strong intention, so the mind begins to associate one with the other. It's why a wedding ring carries commitment. Why a soldier's uniform changes posture. Why a childhood token still brings comfort. The red thread becomes a symbolic trigger. Tied with presence, it signals your energy field. A shift has begun. Planting seeds in the inner field. In Buddhist psychology, store consciousness, alaya vijnana, is where karmic seeds are planted. A ritual performed mindfully plants a new seed, one that ripples into thought, behavior, and results. Even if you don't see immediate change, the energy has already shifted. Sleep, the portal of change. Why place the thread under your pillow? Because sleep is when the conscious mind rests and the subconscious opens. This is when healing, suggestion, and transformation settle in most deeply. The thread under your pillow acts like an energetic key. A quiet message. Tonight, I receive. I surrender. I allow abundance to flow. You don't have to push. You just prepare the space. And rest. The inner nervous system. Rituals don't just move thoughts, they activate your energetic channels. In yogic and Buddhist systems, these channels are called nadis or lung. They carry life force, and when engaged with presence, they awaken your system to attention and openness. Even your brain responds. The reticular activating system starts filtering the world differently, noticing what aligns with your new state of being. That's how change begins, subtly, then suddenly. You don't have to believe. If part of you still says, but it's just a thread, that's okay. You don't need full belief. You only need willingness. Just enough curiosity to try. Just enough trust to soften. That's more than enough. The sacred and the simple. A Mahayana teaching says, the profound hides in the simple. The simple is often missed by the mind seeking drama. No perfection needed. No elaborate setup. Just a moment of presence. A thread. A breath. A quiet decision. I am ready to shift. That's it. Because the thread doesn't change your life. You do. The thread just reminds you that you can. The door is already opening. By being here, you've already started. The next step is not to understand more, it's to practice. In the next section, we'll walk through the ritual, 3 knots, 7 nights, 1 energetic reset. But for now, just pause. Feel your breath. Notice the stillness. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's the sacred simplicity. Already at work. Feel your hands. Feel your breath. Notice if your heart feels a little more open than it did when we started. That's not random. That's alignment. That's the sacred simplicity of small rituals. Opening the door for big transformation. And you're almost there. Before we move into the ritual itself, if this message has touched something in you, a memory, a question, or even just a quiet sense of truth, I invite you to support the space that brought it to you. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Wisdom of the Dharma, and turn on the notification bell so that each new teaching finds you right when you need it. Now, let's begin the practice. Part 4, The Ritual Revealed, 3 knots, 7 nights, 1 shift. So here we are. You've felt the weight. You've heard the call. Now it's time to do something about it. Not in theory. Not tomorrow. But right here, with your own 2 hands. This ritual doesn't need incense, candles, or chants in an ancient language. All it needs is a red thread, a quiet space, and your full attention. Let's walk through it, step by step. Step 1. Find your thread. First, you'll need a piece of red cotton thread. Cotton matters. It's natural, breathable, alive. It carries energy better than synthetic materials. And red, as we've explored, symbolizes life force, movement, and awakening. You don't need anything fancy. No gemstones. No charms. Just the thread. Hold it in your hands for a moment. Feel the texture. Let your body recognize, this is not just a string. This is my symbol. My tool. My moment. Take a slow breath. You're not rushing. You're preparing. Step 2. Tie 3 knots with intention. Now, gently tie 3 knots into the thread. Each knot holds meaning. Think of them as energetic commands. You can whisper these silently, or say them out loud. What matters is that you mean them. First knot, I release what no longer serves me. This is the knot of clearing. Let go of the weight, the fear, the noise. Even if you don't know exactly what it is, let it go. Second knot, I welcome abundance into my life. This is the knot of invitation. Money, yes, but also joy, ease, flow, and clarity. Let the energy of enough start to fill you. Third knot, I open the way forward, with trust. This is the knot of movement. Not force. Not control. Just trust, the kind that allows life to surprise you. As you tie these knots, take your time. Feel each one settle into the thread. You're not just tying fabric. You're tying intention into matter. Step 3. Place the thread under your pillow. Once the knots are tied, hold the thread for a moment longer. Then, gently place it under your pillow before going to sleep. That's it. Nothing dramatic. No ceremony needed. Just let it rest beneath you as you rest yourself. While your conscious mind sleeps, your subconscious goes to work. Your dreams begin to shift. Your nervous system starts to relax. And your energy begins to align with what you've declared. You might not feel it instantly, but you'll begin to notice subtle things, a sense of lightness when you wake. A long-lost email finally gets a reply. An opportunity you weren't expecting. A bit of clarity where there was fog. Small signs that something inside you is now in motion. Step 4. Repeat for 7 nights. Do this for 7 consecutive nights. Why 7? Because in spiritual traditions around the world, Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, even Christian, 7 represents a complete cycle. 7 days. 7 chakras. 7 phases of the moon. It's long enough for your energy field to shift. Long enough for new frequencies to settle in. You can use the same thread each night, or replace it with a fresh one if you feel called to. Some people keep the thread after 7 nights as a talisman. Others choose to release it, burn it, bury it, offer it. Trust what feels right for you. And that's the ritual. Simple. Quiet. But powerful, because it brings you back to yourself. This isn't about superstition. It's about intention made physical. It's about declaring to the universe, and to your own heart, I'm ready to stop waiting. I'm ready to open. I'm ready to let life in. No drama. No pressure. Just one thread. 3 knots. 7 nights. And a shift that may be gentle, but will be real. Part 5. True Stories of Awakening. When the thread works. We've talked about energy. We've talked about ritual. We've talked about intention and sleep and symbols. But sometimes, the best way to understand something sacred is to see what happens when real people try it. Because the thread may be simple, but the stories it unlocks are anything but. Let me share you a story. Eliza hadn't truly rested in years. Her life was a loop of alarms, bills, packed lunches, and late shifts. She was a single mother of two, living in a cramped apartment in Baltimore. Each day she held everything together with little more than grit, and the quiet hope that someday, things would ease up. But they didn't. Not really. The weight kept growing. The unpaid rent. The job that drained her. The loneliness that screamed through the silence once the kids were asleep. One night, after a long shift at the diner, Eliza sat on the edge of her bed scrolling through her phone, half numb, half searching. She wasn't sure what she was looking for. And then, a video appeared. A woman was talking about something strange but gentle. A red thread, tied with intention, placed under the pillow before sleep. Eliza almost kept scrolling. But something about the way the woman spoke, slow, soft, like she was speaking to Eliza's tired soul, made her pause. She watched until the end. Then sat quietly. She didn't have a red thread. But she had an old sweater in the back of the closet. Faded, stretched, but red. She tore a piece gently, smoothed it out, and tied 3 small knots. With each one, she whispered, not as a believer, not as a skeptic, just as a woman who had nothing left to lose. I release what I can't carry. I welcome softness. I open to whatever peace will find me. Then she slid the thread under her pillow, turned out the light, and let go. That night, something shifted. Not dramatically. Not magically. But real. She slept. Deeply. For the first time in months. She woke not to sirens in her chest, but to a strange stillness. Her breath came easier. Her body wasn't clenched. Her daughter looked up from her cereal and said, "Mom, you look kind of glowy today." That week, things began to ripple. A small overdue payment came through. Her manager offered her a better shift. A neighbor she barely knew left a bag of groceries at her door with a sticky note that read, "You're doing better than you think." Eliza didn't attribute it all to the thread. But she knew it marked the moment something in her changed. It wasn't the thread that saved her. It was the act of stopping, just long enough to breathe, to ask, to soften. To remember that she, too, deserved stillness. Deserved light. Now, beside her bed, sits a tiny glass jar. Inside it, neatly rolled pieces of red thread. And whenever someone she loves feels like they're falling apart, she presses one into their palm and says, "Place this under your pillow tonight. Don't try too hard. Just let yourself be held." Because sometimes, all it takes is one night, one knot, and one quiet yes to begin again. Part 6, Science Meets Dharma, Why This Works. We live in a world that wants proof. So let's talk about what actually happens beneath the surface of this ritual, not just in the spiritual field, but in the very wiring of your brain and body. When you tie that red thread, something subtle yet measurable begins. First, your nervous system shifts. The act of slowing down, focusing on your breath, using your hands with mindful intention, this activates the parasympathetic response. Your body leaves fight or flight mode. Your heart rate drops. Your breath deepens. Your brain waves begin to soften. In that moment, you've moved from survival into presence. And presence is where change begins. The power of symbolic anchoring. In psychology, there's a concept called anchoring. It means our minds can attach meaning to a physical object, especially when emotion is involved. The red thread becomes more than fabric. It becomes a signal, a bridge between your conscious desire and your unconscious programming. Every time you touch it, see it, or remember it under your pillow, you reinforce a new belief. I am safe. I am opening. I am enough. Over time, your subconscious begins to accept this as reality, because the body doesn't know the difference between a remembered feeling and a current one. And when your energy shifts, the world meets you differently. The reticular activating system. Let's go one step deeper, into the brain itself. There's a small bundle of nerves at the base of your brainstem called the reticular activating system, RAS. Its job is simple. To filter the billions of stimuli you encounter every second and bring your attention only to what matters. When you perform a ritual like this and declare, I welcome abundance, you're programming your RAS to notice people, ideas, and opportunities that align with that vibration. Before, those things may have passed you by. Now, your brain sees them. It may feel like luck. But really, it's selective awareness guided by clear intention. This is the science of ritual. Not superstition. Not magic. Just biology. Working with mindfulness. Dharma and intention. And from the Buddhist view, it all comes down to intention, what we call caitana. In the Dhamma, intention is the seed of karma. It is the reason behind action. And when aligned with mindfulness and clarity, even the smallest gesture becomes powerful. A bow, a breath, a red thread tied with sincerity. You're not asking the universe to fix you. You're simply choosing to participate in the unfolding of your own path. That's not passive. That's practice. When science and spirit meet. So whether you approach this from a lens of neurology or spirituality, the effect is real. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts soften. Your awareness sharpens. You become more available to what's already seeking you. The thread doesn't do the work. You do, by meeting the invisible with presence. And maybe, that's all awakening ever really is. Part 7. Beyond the thread, your inner field of intention. By now, you've seen how something as humble as a red thread can hold power, not because of what it is, but because of what you bring to it. This isn't really about a string. It's about intention, pure, personal, and alive. You see, your life is always responding to something. Not your words. Not your wishes. But your vibration, your inner frequency, shaped by what you truly believe, expect, and allow. The red thread is just a mirror. A way to reflect back the signal you're sending into the world. You are the sacred space. In every tradition, Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist, there's a quiet truth. The most powerful rituals don't happen outside. They happen in the inner temple, between your breath and your chest. That's where karma is shaped. That's where Dharma awakens. That's where reality begins to shift. You don't need a shrine to be sacred. You don't need a mantra to be heard. You just need presence. When you say, I am ready, and mean it, the field begins to open. Not because the universe suddenly notices you, but because you finally notice yourself. Writing your intention. Now, if you've come this far, I want to invite you into something real. Take a moment, right now, and complete this sentence in your mind. My desire is. Don't filter it. Don't shrink it to fit anyone's approval. Say what you really want. It doesn't have to sound spiritual. It just has to be true. Maybe it's, my desire is to breathe without anxiety. My desire is to trust life again. My desire is to receive without guilt. My desire is to create, to love, to start over. Write it down. Whisper it. Or type it in the comments. Why? Because expression activates the field. It turns a quiet longing into a living signal. And when shared, it multiplies. When witnessed, it strengthens. You're not just typing a sentence. You're planting a seed. And someone, somewhere, may water it, just by reading it. The thread was never the point. It's funny, isn't it? We began this journey talking about a thread. But now, we see, the thread was just the invitation. The real magic is you. The moment you chose to pause, the courage to soften, the willingness to open, even just a little. That is what changes everything. So yes, keep the thread. Tie the knots. Place it under your pillow. But don't forget, the field is you. The signal is you. The sacred is you. And when you remember that, you don't just awaken abundance. You awaken yourself. Part 8, the final realization. You were always the portal. So here we are. You've listened. You've felt. You've remembered. And maybe, just maybe, a part of you has already begun to shift. Not with fireworks. Not with loud breakthroughs. But in the softest, quietest place inside you. That, in itself, is a miracle. But before we part ways, let's return to the beginning, to that feeling that something was off. That life wasn't flowing. That a weight sat on your chest and wouldn't move. You came here looking for something. And what you found wasn't a technique, or a promise, or even a thread. What you found was permission. Permission to slow down. To let go. To trust. To want again. You didn't need to earn it. You didn't need to prove yourself. You just needed to remember, I am allowed to shift. I am allowed to realign. I am allowed to begin again. A portal that opens from within. In Buddhist teachings, the path to liberation is not something we find. It's something we awaken to, because it's already here. The mind always searches outward, another method, another guru, another answer. But the Dharma points us inward, to the present moment, to breath, to stillness. And from that stillness, something opens, not outside of you, but through you. The portal has never been a place. It's a state, a shift in attention, a returning to presence. When you tied that red thread, you weren't activating magic. You were activating yourself. That's the final truth. When doubt returns, because yes, doubt will return. Stress will return. There will be nights where the weight comes back, and you forget everything you felt here. That's human. That's okay. But when that happens, I hope you'll remember this. You don't need to fight the darkness. You only need to reach for the thread. Touch it. Breathe. Remember the version of you that paused to listen to this. She's still here. He's still here. The thread didn't change you. It simply reminded you that you could change yourself. Before we go, if this journey touched something in you, even softly, even subtly, I invite you to affirm it now. Say it out loud, or write it in the comments below. Now I am ready to receive all good fortune, day and night. Not because it's a mantra. Not because it's a formula. But because words spoken with presence become energy that moves. And if someone you love came to mind, someone tired, stuck, or quietly breaking inside, share this with them. Not as advice, but as a gift. Because when you pass on light, you don't lose it. You multiply it. And so it begins. The red thread was only the beginning. A symbol. A doorway. But the real channel was you. You, who stopped scrolling long enough to listen. You, who let your heart soften without needing a reason. You, who didn't wait for perfect timing to start showing up. You, who now remembers, I don't have to wait for life to change. I can begin changing. Now. And that is how it all begins. If this message resonated with you, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Wisdom of the Dharma, and turn on the notification bell so future teachings find their way to you when the time is right. Leave a comment with your intention, or simply let us know how this touched your heart. Every word you share helps this space grow and reach those who are quietly searching, just like you were. Until our next journey together, stay grounded, stay open, and above all, stay present.